SBPE Coursework, Part 2, specifically focusing on the training session. So you must now begin to design a training session that specifically improves your component of fitness weakness. Remember, this is your opportunity to share all of your knowledge and understanding. Before you begin to plan your session, you must first select the most appropriate method of training. This slide provides a description of some of the more popular methods of training and identifies which components of fitness they improve. You may also wish to research the other methods of training, such as plyometric training and altitude training, should you deem them more appropriate. You may wish to begin this part of your coursework by saying, as identified earlier, my fitness weakness was. To develop this area of weakness, I will follow a 6-week training program, full stop. The most suitable method of training to use is, and here we would insert the most suitable method, and then you would need to go on and explain how that method of training will enable you to improve your fitness weakness. For example, how does it meet the needs of your sport? How is it specific to your activity? And what are the advantages of using that method of training? You may also wish to highlight some of the potential disadvantages and maybe even another method of training that you could use to counteract that. Once you've completed that section, you can move on to designing your training session. I would suggest that your training session lasts between 45 minutes to an hour. If you wish to work out for longer or even shorter, you will need to justify your choice. Your session should include a warm-up. I will discuss the warm-up in more detail on the next slide. You will also need to discuss any safety considerations. For example, are there any health concerns? Have you checked the facilities? Have you checked the equipment that you would like to use? You will also need to work out your training zones. When you are doing this, it's beneficial if you show your working out. You will need to highlight which training zone you will be working in, and you will notice on our slide, training thresholds are displayed along with the equations. If you are using muscular endurance as a weakness, it is likely that you'll be using the aerobic threshold. However, if power is your weakness, it is likely that you will be using the anaerobic threshold. It is your job to justify why you are using each threshold to improve your specific weakness. Should you need any support with that, please comment below. You'll also need to use the principles of training and state how you would implement them. You will notice the principles of training are displayed on the slide. I would suggest that you take the time to justify your decision making. So how are you going to ensure that you avoid tedium, for example? You will then need to design a specific hour-long training session. You need to highlight the exercises, the timings, and the muscle groups that you are targeting, justifying why you are targeting and using those areas and those exercises. Remember, keep it exciting. Running around the park once doesn't provide you with many opportunities to share your knowledge and understanding. At this point, feel free to use images, graphs, or tables. For example, you may wish to share your sets and reps in a table. It is also beneficial to highlight which muscles you are targeting through each exercise. Finally, you will need to finish with a cool down. I will explain this further in a couple of slides' time. It is really important that you use all of your knowledge and understanding and justify your decisions throughout. So the warm-up. The warm-up involves 3 key areas. We like to look at the gradual pulse raising activities. We like to look at stretching. And we also like to look at skill-based practices and familiarization activities that allow us to prepare for the game mentally. We also want to be talking about how we can increase the amount of oxygen to the working muscles. It's really important that we understand and justify appropriate elements of the warm-up and even the cool-down for different sporting activities. So we should know that the benefits of warming up are the effects on body temperature. It obviously increases our body temperature and therefore the elasticity of our muscles. It increases the range of motion. There is a gradual increase of effort to full game speed. There is a psychological preparation. And there is a practice of movement of skills throughout the whole range of movement. And in total, there is an injury prevention element. So if we can start to think about the benefits of warming up, and we can discuss those, and we can design a suitable warm-up specific to our weakness, make sure you implement that at the beginning of this section. The cool down. So a cool down should include maintaining elevated breathing rate and heart rate, e.g., walking or jogging, into a gradual reduction into the intensity. So we're slowly reducing our heart rate back to our resting level. And again, we might also wish to discuss stretching. At this point, it might be useful to use some static stretching. The benefits of the cool down are the following. It allows our body to recover. It encourages the removal of lactic acid or any waste products. And it prevents the delayed onset of muscle soreness, which we also refer to as DOMS. The cool down comes after your main session. Should you have any further questions,